welcome back to, I really need to check before I start filming, I believe we're episode 30 or 31 of TamsCraftyKnits. You can find me on Instagram. That's probably the best place to kind of see what I'm up to, what I'm working on, that kind of thing. You can also find me on Etsy. I have some stitch markers and some yarn in my store. My store is actually going to be changing a little bit. Going forward, it's not going to have hand-dyed yarn in it anymore. I have a ton of fabric and I have a ton of stuff for stitch markers, and obviously I'm making like crocheted and knitted items that I plan to put in there, but I just don't see myself getting back to dyeing yarn anytime soon. I ended up destashing my dyes, the powdered acid dyes that I use, the jacquard ones, so I need to send those off tomorrow. I just didn't see myself buying the undyed bases and doing yarn dyeing. I haven't done it for quite a while, and I kind of thought, well, maybe I should just focus on doing the handmade stuff, the stitch markers and the project bags. So that's what I'm going to be doing going forward. That's what's going to be in my shop. I will obviously need to adjust my business cards because it does say hand dyed yarn on there, but Vistaprint has deals and stuff all the time, which is where I get mine from. I made those ones up myself, with the little logo and stuff like that. But yes, you can find some items in my Etsy store. You can like my Facebook page, which is TamsCraftyKnits, and you can also add TamsCraftyKnits as a friend on Facebook if you so wish. And obviously here on YouTube. So yeah, I think that's kind of it for introductions. The first thing I want to get to is the winners from the Aussie Cow that was hosted, oh, and the Ravelry group. On Ravelry you can find TamsCraftyKnits. As I posted on Instagram, I was actually going to upload a video yesterday, and I did film that video. Didn't like how it came out, so redo. So let's announce the winners. I actually used what's it called? The fruit machine on online to pick the winners. I put all the people's names from the finished object thread and then drew a winner, and then did the same thing for the chatter thread. And that was my leg on the bed. That wasn't anything else. I don't know if the camera picked that up. So yes, the winner from the finished object thread was Michelle, who is from Colorado in the USA. She knit a lace weight cowl and she used some of Hannah's yarn. Sorry if you can hear that. My mum is on a cleaning frenzy. She's getting rid of stuff because our house has been restumped. Thank goodness, it's finally finished. They're gone. It was a delightful experience, let's put it that way. A couple of times our cat nearly escaped, but let's not go there. Oh great. Next door neighbours have decided they're going to mow their lawn for the first time in like 2 months. Sorry guys, I knew I should have tried to edit and upload the other one. She used some of Hannah's yarn in the New Zealand sock base, and the colourway was City Park. So if you're interested in Hannah's yarn, she was also one of the co-hosts of the Knit Along. You can search her Etsy store, Rosehip Island. I love her yarn. It's beautiful. I actually wore my cupcake socks the other day that I knit from her cupcake colourway. I think that was New Zealand sock, I think. Or was it Oz sock? I have a couple of, I'd had a couple of her bases in my stash of sock yarn, which I will say I need to rebag those because I'm doing a test knit, and I can't, because most of my fingering weight yarn is in that bag except for the Gilmore Girls colorways and maybe like one other colorway. So I kind of rated that for some foreplay yarn. Anyway, so yes, Michelle, if you could get in touch with me, your her username is yarngirl900. So once you see this, Michelle, can you please get in contact with me via Ravelry, let me know you've seen this, and send me a message with your shipping info and I can get this out to you. Your prize is a skein of Peyton's Peytonelle 4-ply in this bright orange, and I thought it was hilarious. I paired it with some stitch markers that I made myself. It just happened to be that they have orange on them, and there's a little bee kind of progress keeper, or if you crochet it can be a stitch marker. So thank you for participating on the chatter thread. Now I actually thought that this person was going to come up as a winner in the finished object thread, but because she's been knitting quite a bit. But the winner for the chatter thread is Emma, who is Em's Little Nest. She is an Aussie living in New Zealand. So there you go, Emma, you have won the prize for the chatter thread in the Aussie Cow. And she's actually purchased one of my bags before. And I picked out these prizes before I'd even picked the winners, so I knew what prizes were going to be for what. But it was just so happened that she won another one of my bags. This is my little cupcake drawstring bag. This would easily fit a hat, a pair of socks, maybe fingerless gloves, a cowl possibly. It will definitely, as you'll see, fit. This is 100 grams of yarn, and there's plenty more space left. So you have won this bag, and it is lined in one of my favorite colors, purple. I actually have another one of these made up that I'm thinking about snagging for myself and keeping it, because I have a ton of fabric. There's actually a box up on top of my stash cupboard with fabric in it, and I scored some pretty good fabric at the thrift store the other day that I need to wash so that I can use it for bags. But I've won this and a set of stitch markers. Again, this one has an owl progress keeper, and then the beaded jump ring markers. So I think I have your shipping address, Emma, but just let me know that you've seen this, and just send me your a message with your shipping info anyway, just, you know, in case it's changed or something, I don't know. Just message me on Ravelry and I can get that out to you. So thank you to everyone for participating. I think we are planning on doing it again next year, so, and hopefully I will actually have something finished next year. I did have to steal a set of needles from excuse me, from the needles that I was using on the socks for the Aussie Cow, because I'm doing a couple of test knits at the moment, and I'll talk about those in a minute. I am drinking out of my Wonder Woman mug. I'm actually drinking coffee. I have one of those old school Audi coffee machines, you know, the new ones. This is the edition before that. The newer ones kind of have a square look to them, whereas this one kind of has the round look to them. And I don't know if some of you know, but Moccona have, and this is like the good instant coffee that I like to drink. I don't like any other instant coffee other than this one. This brand of coffee pods will actually fit in the Audi machine. So there's about, I think there's 3 different intensities in these. Very similar to the Keurig, for those of you in the States. Just a little coffee pods. So I cleaned the machine, I ran the cleaner through it earlier, and yeah, it's pretty good. But I thought, yep, I'm gonna get it out again, so not bad. So let's go to finished objects. I'll just get my iPad up because I need it in a minute. So I think I showed this to you last time. I did actually finish my virus shawl. This lighting is terrible. I'm just using the ceiling light, so apologies But this used half of the pack of millends that I got. I've posted photos of this on Instagram, so if you follow me there, you've probably already seen it. I really like this yarn. It's so soft. It does feel like an acrylic, so I will be listing this on Etsy. I'm gonna make another one with the other colors, but I've already started a different one. Where is it? Which is in this bag that I got at the thrift store. Someone handmade this bag, and it's perfect for a knitting project bag. So I think I showed, did I show you this last time? This is a new yarn that I found at Spotlight. It was on sale for $2.39, and they had a bunch of different colours, but of course I picked purple because it's my favourite colour. These are only 50-gram balls though, and it's 95% acrylic, 5% polyester. So I decided that I was going to start. Whoops, I just lost my hook. I just pulled a stitch out. You really hear that dinging? That's the washing machine. So yeah, I haven't got very far. Obviously I'm using a smaller hook, so it's going to take me a little bit longer to do, but this is going to be for me. And if I like how it works up, then I may buy some other colours in this and do a couple of other shawls with it. So that is the only finished object that I have. I watch Kelly's channel, who is I'm Yarn Inspired, and she mentioned in her last podcast that she was looking for some testers to test out a shawl pattern, and I said sure, I would love to. So she let me know that she was going to be sending out the pattern. I have it here in my ET bag. I'm not going to show you the actual shawl, but I will show you the colours that I'm using. Get that out of the way. So this one, I believe this is a gloss. It might be a gloss fingering from Knit Picks that I hand dyed myself. So it's kind of like a tonal. It's coming up a bit darker on camera, but it's like a tonal teal. So this is color 1. I think that's color 1. Color 2 is this, and I dug this out of my sock yarn that I'm using for socks. This is the King Cole Zigzag 4-ply sock yarn. It's 50% superwash wool, 50% nylon, 493 yards, and that's what it looks like. So I thought these colours will go really well together. So obviously I'm on the teal colour at the moment, but I'm almost finished that first little section. So I'll be starting with the other colour, and I busted out my needle keeper. Yes, I figured it's probably the safest option. Oops, put the yarn tag back in for the shawl. I was also looking on Ravelry, and I've joined a couple of test knitting groups, and one of them I will be knitting a pair of socks for. These are the needles that I had to take off my other. I really need to get another like couple of pairs of 2.5mm needles, and I busted out my Felici. Well, some of my Felici. I've busted out the rainbow colorway because I wanted to knit. I've been wanting to use this for a while, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. So the socks that are in the pattern, obviously you have to knit it to the specifications of the pattern. They are a smaller size than I typically wear, but it'll be okay. I will just maybe gift them to somebody who has smaller feet than I do, or something like that. But yes, I am going to be starting those later today. But I still have the unicorn colorway in the Felici, and I have one single ball of Felici because I didn't know you needed two. Back when I first started knitting, I only bought one ball. But if I do contrasting heels, cuffs and toes, I may be able to, if I do a longer cuff, I may be able to get away with using just the one ball. Don't know. We'll see. Then one of my friends who I used to work with, she actually messaged me the other day and asked if I could knit a hat for her daughter for school in her school colours. Well, colour. And so I said, yep, sure. I got her to measure the circumference of her head, just so that I could knit the correct size for her. So, and I said to her, you know, would you like acrylic or wool? And I said, you know, some kids find wool really irritating, so it's probably better to use acrylic. For older kids it's not so bad, but she's only 5, so, and I remember back when I was a kid, when my mother used to try and put wool hats on my head and made me itch like nobody's business. So I suggested that I do it in acrylic for her. So I picked up this navy blue. I actually really like this colour. And this is in the Panda Magnum Soft 8-ply. And I'm just using, this is a free pattern on Ravelry. This is the child's, it's the child's, sorry that was the bed again. It says child's self-striping hat, but I'm gonna use this pattern with just obviously a plain yarn. So that's what the actual hat looks like. And they have little charts in here that give you a guide on what needle to use and how many stitches to cast on. So she said that her daughter's head is 19 inches, the circumference. So I'm actually going to use a 5.5mm hook and cast on 104 stitches. And the hat circumference will be 18.9. She said she wanted it a little bit tighter, so I don't want to go down to the next one of 96. I know acrylic will stretch a little bit, but I don't want it to stretch too much, if you know what I mean. I would rather it be a little bit closer to her head circumference than too small. So that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm going to make a start on that in the next couple of days. I said it will be done in a couple of weeks, just because I'd already started the test knit, and I kind of didn't want to have 1000 things going on at once. But hey, who are we kidding? That's me. I always have 1000 things going on at once. Why did I turn my iPad off? I don't know. Another pattern that I picked up this week, and this is a paid for pattern, but you can get it a little bit cheaper. It's another one of Mary Rubin's patterns from the Cherry Pearls podcast. She released her Monkey Hill Mitts. It is a paid for pattern, as I said, on Ravelry. So I picked up this pattern. She does have a discount code, and I will try to remember to put it in the description box. But if you look up the pattern, I believe it's on the pattern page on Ravelry. And I can't remember when it was valid until. I've only picked this pattern up in the past couple of days. But the yarn that I plan on using for this is this, ow, why do I sit on my feet? I don't know. This is the Bendigo Wool Mills Luxury 4-ply in the Sangria colorway. Yep, it came from the back room. It's this beautiful deep red. It's kind of looking a bit brown on there, but it's not. It's a beautiful red. So I've decided I'm going to use this when I get to knitting those, which will hopefully be soon, but with the amount of projects that I have on the go, you never know. And of course, Amina released her next pattern from her sock club. And a little tip with Mina's patterns, they look like this, the front page. I go, because I already have printed out, I've printed out 2 full patterns of hers. If you've read one of her patterns before, they are very similar in the way they are written, in the way that you construct the sock, etc. So if you're already a member of the sock club, and so you get each pattern each month, you will have already got the Mina's vanilla sock pattern, or vanilla sock recipe. I can't remember which one it's called. I think it's vanilla sock recipe. So you will already have that pattern. I don't actually have it on here. But what I've actually done is gone through, and because I already have a couple of her patterns printed in full, all I do is I go through each of her sock patterns and I find the page that has the actual textured pattern part of the sock, because everything else is the same. So I just go and I just print off the page that has the patterned part. I mean, I have a few of her sock patterns on my iPad, so I can just, you know, flick to whatever page it is. But it is nice to have just that page printed, so you can just put it in your project bag, take it with you, things like that. So while I do have the entire pattern printed, because it's relatively the same, it's just a little tip if you want to save on your printer ink, or you just don't want to use up so much paper printing it all out. Like I said, you can put it on your iPad, but who wants to lug their iPad around all the time? So yeah, that's just what I do. And I have a folder right behind me, because I was going through my patterns and stuff. And I can't show you the inside of that because it's got a paid for pattern on it. But it's just one of these folders that has 3 rings in it. You can pick these up from Kmart. They're just white folders, 3 rings in it. And I just have all of my patterns in here. Let's see, I want to try and find one of her. Okay. So as you can see, I have one of her patterns printed out there. And then all the ones that follow that pattern, okay, I can probably show you without giving away the pattern. So I just look for the page that just says the pattern, and I just print it out. Sometimes her patterns have a close-up photo of the actual patterned part of the sock. Sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it does, but it just depends on what pattern it is. I think most of the patterns for the New York Sock Club have them. But yeah, the heel is the same, the toe is the same, so I just go through and just print off the page that has the pattern on it. I also forgot to mention last time, I also picked up the Streetcar Mitts, which is one of Mary's patterns as well. I'm not sure what yarn I would use for that, but I really want to make myself at least a couple of pairs of fingerless gloves before it gets really, really cold. Well, maybe at least one. That's probably a better goal. But yeah, so I've got a few patterns, and I have a few patterns from Amber O'Brien as well. Because we all know I love my Amber O'Brien patterns. I was a bit fangirly the other day because I posted a photo on Instagram of me, because it was freezing cold and the guys were here doing like the restumping of the house, so we couldn't have the heater on because the gas from the heater would, you know, they'd get gassed out underneath the house with the heater on, because it gives off a really horrid smell. There's nothing wrong with it, it's just what it does. It's just part of how it works. So here I am with like my knitted socks on, my really thick jumper, my shawl, and I was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, it is freezing in here, like I have to try and get warm somehow. And then I ended up putting one of my hats on as well because it's kind of cold. And I posted a photo on Instagram, and she liked it, and I think she commented on it. I can't remember. I think she might have. Oops. Yes, she did. So I was a little bit excited. So there's my, oops, there's me. So she did like it and commented on it, so I was like, yay. Anyway. Whoa, now I'm yelling like an umbrella. Gone. Okay. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Hopefully I'll probably mostly focus on the test knits and also the hat for my friend for the order. There is another order that I'm kind of in process of. It's, I don't know where I put it now. Is it in here? It might be in here. I have quite a few project bags floating around. Yeah, it's the, is it Aura pullover? I'm testing out the sizing just to make sure I'm doing it correctly, things like that, but I will be eventually making an adult size of that. The funny thing is, I started, you guys may remember I showed you this, and I was, you know, working on it, and then I put it down to work on something else. Well, I tried to start working on it again yesterday, and you see how all the stitches, you know, they look right. And I'm following along the pattern and it just doesn't look right. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It's like, it's just not working. So I might have to rip it all back and start again. But I might do that once, once I've finished the test knits. Both of them are due to be finished by the 1st of June. So I think I will just focus on those and the order for that, because she's not in that much of a hurry. She's just like, oh, could you make me something like this? And I'm like, yeah, sure. You know, I just like to test out the pattern. Unless I've made it before, I like to test out the pattern first before I go making it for someone. I don't know, I'm just like that. Like with the sunshine blanket, I tested out a square of it to make sure I was doing it properly and things like that before I committed to doing the whole thing. So like I said, basic things like hats, my Amber O'Brien shawl, the Anissa wrap. My auntie will get hers of that eventually. It might be next winter, but she will get it eventually. I just have so many other things, and I think doing something like a big shawl like that was a lot of work that went into that. So I think you kind of have to take a break and do a few other things in between going back to doing that. And she's in no rush. She knows I'll get it done eventually. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, that was good timing. Now my battery's decided it's gonna start flashing at me. I've been talking for too long, see? It knows. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if this is the first time you are watching my channel. Hope you like what you see. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook. Come and join us on Ravelry. I'm going to be having a giveaway once I get to 100 subscribers. I think we're almost at 80. I think so. And I think I'm going to get a prize from the Bendigo Sheep and Wool show for that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to comment down below. If I forget to put something in the description box, please just leave a comment and say, hey, can you put up the code for this, or can you put the link for that? Because sometimes I forget. I just upload my video and I forget to do that, so feel free to let me know down below. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.